My guys, my buddies, my amigos even. What are you guys telling me? I'm Nini FC, this is BRIGHTON TV, and welcome to our Talking Points video after our 2-0 defeat against Brighton. Now yeah, I know we're starting the new work week and this Monday has been awful. The rain, the gloom, it really is peak London right now. But you guys, I'm here to bring some sunshine into your lives with some new content. The 4 things I'm going to be focusing on for today's video is why PULISIC isn't playing, why WILLIAN deserves to be playing, the rise of Tomori. Of course, before I start with things, you guys have to do me a little favor. If you do like today's video, do not forget to press the like button. Help me get over 2,000 likes for today's video. And on that note, we get straight into things, starting with Tomori and the rise of our young promising defender. Now, whenever I look at Tomori, it really makes me think, and it really reiterates to me why this new approach from the club was always the right approach we needed. Look at the previous seasons. We've signed so much expensive squad filler which we've struggled to get rid of, and they haven't improved the team or took us to any new heights. And where did this policy of distrusting our own youth really take us? Yeah, of course there were some short-term successes, but it was always a case of going 1 step forward and 2 steps back. And it's making me think of these weird scenarios where I'm thinking of what ifs. What if we did sign Rugani? Are you telling me the 40 to 50 million euros that Juventus wanted at the time would have really benefited us in the long term? And the ironic thing is, Sarri is now at Juventus, and where is Rugani? Because I'm not seeing this guy in the first team. And it's like, if Rugani really was that guy, then Juventus wouldn't have signed De Ligt, and if we signed him, it would have taken a first team spot away from your Tomoris, your Christensens, etc, etc. Honestly, it is quite crazy to think just how willing we were to waste money back in those days. I mean, it's ridiculous. But now that the club have finally unified their philosophy, it now means that we can see Tomori's making an impact in the first team. And it's funny to think that things would have been very different for Tomori if things didn't work out exactly the way they did for him. Now when Tomori was at Hull and Brighton, he never really excelled. He was really a squad rotation player. You know, for Hull City, he predominantly played as a right back and he kind of struggled, and that's not really his main game. And at Brighton, he was just seen as backup and wasn't really given the game time to grow and develop. And this really sums up the inefficiency with the loan army over these seasons because, you know, we loan our good, talented young players to clubs like this, and back during those times, we really affected the development of a lot of our young promising players at the time. And it was down to these poor loan moves that didn't really complement the player or get the best out of them, because most of these clubs only saw these young guys as squad filler or rotation. They never had the intention to develop them or let them grow, because why should they? They don't own the player and they'll never see a return on their investment. And it's quite sad to think that if things didn't play out the way they did now, this guy could have potentially been lost in the loan army and we'd never see the full potential of what Tomori's really about. Luckily for Tomori, Frank Lampard's came at the exact right time, playing him in his best position, and this is what Tomori needed. He needed a manager that had faith in him, that understood the player and how to get the best out of him as well as using a tactical setup that fully complemented Tomori's skill set. And at the end of the day, that's what young players need. You know, they need a manager or coach that really instills confidence and belief in them, because they really do believe in that player. And yeah, I don't know why my voice broke then, but we move on. The way that Tomori worked under Lampard was so beneficial that, you know, come the summer, Everton, who are traditionally a top 10 team in this country, were making big efforts to try and bring Tomori on loan for the season. And it's crazy to think that with how he's been really prominent in the first team and how he's risen over the years, if we had previous management still at the club, we'd never see a Tomori getting any opportunities in the first team. And for me, that is quite sad, because now it's quite clear that this guy is a highly promising, talented player that's only going to get better. 6'1", bags of pace, great positional play, can play out from the back, and he plays with his head up as well. Doing all of this at the age of 21 years old. Honestly, and it's quite sad to think that under previous management, he would never have got an opportunity. And it's quite sad to think that if Tomori was coming through when we had previous management, we'd never have seen this guy playing for us again. It's something to think about. Before I get into things, today's video is brought to you by the OneFootball app. If you guys download the OneFootball app right now, you'll be able to vote for your man of the match. you'll be able to see the latest stats coming out from the game as well, and you can see all the post-match news as well. If you haven't downloaded the OneFootball app right now, what are you waiting for? You'll find it in the link in the description below. Now we move on to the second talking point, and we need to talk about Christian Pulisic. What's happening? Is Lampard biased against him? It's because Christian's American. Does Lampard only care about Chelsea youngsters instead of the rest? Why isn't Pulisic playing? Now, these have all been questions and thoughts that people within the fan base and the community have been thinking about because, it's been a while since Pulisic's got really good, consistent game time. And of course, all these theories and thoughts intensified after Pulisic's recent interview with Pro Soccer Talk. In the interview, Pulisic said that it is frustrating not to play. When he was asked about the feedback he's getting from Lampard to get himself back into the team, Pulisic said, not so much, Frank's telling me to just keep working hard and performing in training, and if you take that quote in isolation, you'd assume that not too much effort or care from Lampard. I mean, it's quite vague. What the hell does that even mean? But, we have to apply things to how football really works, and come on, is a professional player gonna come out really giving you detailed instructions in regards to what Lampard expects from him? Of course not. Anyway, the interview goes on, and of course, Christian's a smart guy. He's like, he knew that it was gonna be hard when he signed here. That didn't put him off. He's gonna continue to work hard and adapt to the country. And it's like, if Lampard said he needs to adapt, and if Pulisic himself says that he needs to adapt, then I feel that we have to accept that we need to be patient. I'm sorry, but at this moment in time, Pulisic does not deserve to be in the first team. The form of other players is much better than Pulisic's, and as Lampard has stressed time and time again, he's gonna pick players based on their performances in training and how hard they work. I mean, these same principles apply to Tomori, and no one's complaining about that. He's in the first team right now on merit, and the guy's getting better and better. I know that I'm gonna sound condescending or rude, I don't mean to, but I gotta speak my honest mind. For me, I find it so simplistic and childish that people can come to such a basic reasoning for why Pulisic isn't in the team. It's like, you need to have an open perspective, you need to understand the realities of football and how this industry is. And it's like, we're fans of a big club. We've had a lot of great tactical managers, and I feel like, for me personally, I'm always adding something new to my knowledge because I'm learning from each and every manager. But I feel like with a lot of football fans, no one really applies what they see or what they learn. And this is why we keep having these same recycled conversations that ultimately lead to nothing. Now, is there a reason why Chelsea youth players may have a possible advantage right now? Yeah, I think so. And I think that comes down to they know the club, they already understand the tactical setup because it's been a setup they've been brought up in. And for some of them, Lampard has worked with them personally for a year, and you just apply points 1 and 2 to point 3. Too often when we analyse situations or players, we make it become too emotional and too personal. And when you do it like that, it means that you misunderstand and you don't see the full perspective behind what's really happening. By now, we should be seeing things through the manager's perspective to get a greater understanding as to why he makes the certain decisions he does. And I'm sorry, but Lampard's decision is made easier if Pulisic isn't performing in his defensive plays. When he presses, he's not winning any of his tackles. He doesn't track runners. He allows them to run in behind. When he's on the ball in the final third, he's not keeping it or holding it or playing others in the game. He hasn't been linking up too much with our fullback as well. And of course, whenever he has shots on goal, he's not taking enough. And most importantly, his shots are not accurate. As I'm stressing, it's about time that we as Chelsea fans, fans of a big club, start seeing things through the manager's perspective. If you're a manager at this level, you're thinking about team balance, especially if you're conceding goals like crazy, like we have been recently, and especially when you've just come into a new job and you want to get things up and running. Lampard, as our manager for a big club, is gonna think about the team and team balance. I mean, why do you think we've seen so many different personnel changes or formations? Because Lampard wants to make us more secure defensively. And with Pulisic right now, currently, he hasn't been able to do that just yet. And I get what you guys might say. Nini, if Lampard wants Pulisic to get better, the guy needs game time. But I'm sorry, that's not the case, and you have to see it from Lampard's perspective. What's the first thing Lampard said when he first signed? He said that if you want to play in this team, you need to work hard in training and perform. So if Lampard now decides to just randomly put PULISIC in the team for no reason, especially when he's not performing, and obviously the squad players are going to know that PULISIC isn't at his best form right now. How are they going to take it if Lampard gives him 3 games and 3 minutes, contradicting what his philosophy is? I mean, the team is not going to respond well to that. Of course, Lampard has faith in PULISIC. That's why he played against Grimsby, not being condescending, but the player knows, the manager knows, it's an adaptation period. He needs more time, he needs to settle in with the team more. And I just have to say it, but this fan entitlement where, people want things to happen without thinking of the logic or the reasonings behind these actions, it needs to stop. It doesn't lead anywhere. And I feel like with football conversation in general, we end up repeating the same cycles and conversations because, people just can't apply what they see or learn. I'm really hoping now that this whole PULISIC debate is going to stop and we start thinking of the bigger picture and better things. But now that Hazard isn't here, and now that Willian is one of the most senior players in the squad right now, I feel like he's taken all of this in his stride. And this is why we're seeing such a confident Willian right now. I feel like we have to use context when we criticize players for previous misdemeanors. But I feel like sometimes, the fan base can allow their, I wouldn't say their prejudice, it's too much of a strong word, but they can let their feels cloud the realities of what's happening right now. And what's happening right now is that Willian is playing in the team due to deserving his place in the team. Now I'm going to use who scored so we can look at some of Willian's performances, seeing just how effective he's been in our previous few games. Now let's start with Willian's performance against Brighton in the previous game. As we can see by who scored, they've given him an 8.1 rating. If you click on him and actually break down some of the stats, starting with tackles, Willian won 4 tackles. He won the most tackles out of any player in the team. And when you realise that he's playing in the final thirds, I mean, this is exactly what we want. This is what Lampard wants. He wants pressing from the front foot. You need your wingers to have that defensive work rate, because otherwise we don't create the chances we do. Willian had 6 shots on game. As we can see here, 2 shots on target, 1 off target and 3 blocked shots. I mean, it's standards, I mean, Pedro took 5, but I don't remember any of his shots really doing anything. But I mean, no one's going to say anything, are they? And when it comes to his passing, he played 1 key pass and, his passing was quite decent. Now, if we go to other games, for example, the game against Liverpool where we lost, he picked up a 6.4 rating, but compared to the attacking players, he was our best player again. If we look at some of the shots as well, starting with man like Willian, boom. As we can see here, when it comes to dribbles won, he had the most joint with Kante. Pass success is a solid 80% as always, and you need that passing success in the final thirds. We move on to Valencia, and again, Willian picks up an 8.2 rating. Clicking on him here, as we can see, 9 dribbles against Valencia. On that night, he was fantastic. I mean, incredible. I mean, Willian's getting back to his old form. He was a player that could regularly get past his players. And for me, I thought that he lost it. I thought that he wasn't the same player anymore. But it seems like he's fitter, more confident these days. Of course, he was our best player in that game against Valencia. And, he tried to affect the game by having 4 shots on goal as well. We continue on the game against Wolves. What do we see? Willian with a 7.4. He wasn't the best attacking player that day, but he was still very good when working with the team. As we can see, these are some of Willian's stats from that game. Most importantly is the tackling. When it's coming to these tackling stats, Willian's normally in the top 5 for both teams. And of course, finally against Sheffield United, he came on as a sub and he had a decent cameo. In next to no time, he was close to completing more dribbles than PULISIC did throughout the game. As I'm trying to stress you guys, I get it, I understand. I've had the same criticisms for Willian, but if he's currently performing, we need to be objective. We have to rate him for being on point right now, and we need to accept the reasons why he's actually in the team. Boys, on that note, I need to wrap things up and keep things moving. I'm planning on doing a news daily video later today. I'm hoping that I'll have enough time to get that out, so you guys bear with me, and obviously, make sure you follow me on Twitter so you guys can stay up to date yourselves. On that note, you guys, I'm gonna keep it moving. Thank you for watching. I'm NINI FC. This is BRIGHTON TV. See you guys later.